I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling good today, but my voice does not sound good. What you have in front of you is dirty brushes. This isn't even all of my dirty brushes, and we're gonna do a brush declutter. In the midst of pre-filming right now, a bunch of stuff because I'm gonna be away for a week. Hopefully my voice comes back before I go away. And I'm gonna like review some brushes, also kind of point out some of my favorite brushes. I was testing brushes to kind of do like a brush by brush brand review, but I did put out a Rephr brush video, which didn't perform as well as my other videos, which leads me to believe that you're not really that interested in brushes. I thought maybe a more general brush video where I'm decluttering them might be a little more interesting to you. Let's get into it. I'll tell you a little bit about each thing, but we're not going to get too in the weeds here because my voice. Let's start with these. These are dirty. I'm going to wash them before I give them away, if I am giving them away. And I also might not be able to find all of them, but these are brushes from Bella Beauty Bar. These came out with the re-release of the Smoky Glam palette, which is these were sent to me in PR. This is my only spoolie brush I have right now, so I'm going to keep it. My general thoughts on these brushes were that they're pretty nice. I actually really liked this powder brush, and I am considering keeping it. But as far as like the blending brushes go, I just mostly prefer using natural hair brushes, which I have many of. It's not that they didn't work. Of course, like I used some for shades and they worked perfectly fine. I just prefer the feel of a natural hair brush. Like in my personal opinion, I do feel as though they blend better. That's just my experience with them. I do like how at the end they are like that pink color. I think that's really cute. They did that. This is one that I used and is discolored. They come as a set, so you can't really buy them separately, but I liked this as a foundation brush. I've used the Kabuki brush a couple of times, but overall, just not really my thing. I'm gonna set this one to the side, but I am gonna declutter these ones. But I do have a promo code with Bella Beauty Bar if you ever shop with them. I would say their brushes aren't something that you need, but their eyeshadows are really beautiful if you happen to be into that. Also from Bella Beauty Bar, they sent me these silicone applicators in PR. And I actually really like these. I found these are very helpful in the cases where I don't want to use my fingers to apply shimmers. And I find that these give a very similar effect to applying as a shimmer. I haven't really found a need for the angle brush or the liner brush version of these. So I don't really use those two. But I do like these paddle ones. I found them very helpful. They don't work on all shimmer formulas, but on like multi-chromes that are loosely packed like the ones from Bella Beauty Bar, they work very well. So these work really well with Cleona shades. They actually worked really well my lid lusters from Victoria Beckham. So I really do enjoy these. I have some more from Bella Beauty Bar. These ones, I don't remember what palette these came out with. I think maybe these ones came out with the Secret Garden palette. Again, they're fine. They're just not brushes I reach for very often, except this one, which was also in that collection of brushes, which was only sold as a set. I really like this one for powder, but like I really need to make a decision on a powder brush. I don't need all of them. I really like the shape of this, but I also really like the shape of this. This one just was a little more unique. This one right here, I think like that flat. There's just something to it. I'm not really sure if it was meant for powder, but that has been the best case scenario for me. But I'll set that aside. I'm not 100% sure. I'm now seeing some more Bella Beauty Bar brushes just kind of peeking out of the woodwork here. I do like this one for under eyes, for under eye powdering. I have one from Sonia G I also really like, but I don't know that having two of them would be bad. So I might keep that one. I'll just set that aside for now, but I'm going to get rid of those two. Let's talk about BK Beauty brushes. I'm going to get rid of these. These are more of the ones from Bella Beauty Bar. But I think talking about BK Beauty as a whole is going to be the best because it was a brand that did send me brushes in PR, and I know that a lot of you had like interest in my thoughts on them. I have kind of, shared them organically over the course of the channel as I've had them. Don't worry, I have intentions of washing my brushes after I film this. I found another one of these. I'm gonna set it aside. We'll start with their eyeshadow brushes. I do not like their eyeshadow brushes. I know a lot of other influencers really get on with these. The only two I like are these two. Only when I'm using them to blend out cream shadows. I like them with the Merit Solo shadow. I like them with the Victoria Beckham shadows. Cream shadows only. That's the only reason I would reach for these. And most of the time when I'm using cream shadow, I'm using it as like an all over base sort of thing. So that's when I would pick those up. I'm going to keep those two. And then these three brushes, I'm going to part ways with them. I don't like the way they work with powder. If I'm gonna go, and I don't have any Sigma brushes down here, I'm, I let Tiff use the Sigma brushes for a little bit of time because they were going to an event and they had just cleaned their brushes and I was like, oh, I'm not using these Sigma ones. My recommendation is if you were gonna go between the two brands, I think that Sigma makes better eyeshadow brushes and I think BK Beauty makes better face brushes. I think Sigma's face brushes are better than the eyeshadow brushes from BK Beauty. I also have I think I have a promo code with BK Beauty. I think it's just my handle. I'll correct myself on screen if you happen to be interested in them. They run a lot of sales throughout the year, so I would suggest maybe not using my promo code and just buying when they're on sale. I also think they sell through Amazon if that's your thing. Now let's move on to some other brushes from BK Beauty. This is their collaboration with Angie Hot and Flashy. And these are the BK A506 brushes. So they are small little kitten paw concealer brushes. I love this shape of brush. I think that this works so well. And they have been my favorite concealer brush. I have been using them more than I have been using my Sonia G concealer brush, which was a very expensive brush. These are some of the best. I recommend these ones if you hear other people talking about them. I back up what they say about them because these are really, really great. I think it has to do with the shape, but I also think it has to do with the fact that they are synthetic and whatever their synthetic hairs are made of, like whatever they use, the way that they are, the density of it, I think they work very beautifully. Then I also have two of these. These are the 112 brushes. So these are like really small contouring blush brushes, and that's exactly what I use them for. Normally, one is Dirty with Contour, and that's this one. And I use it in a cream, and I know that these aren't very densely packed, so you're probably like, why in a cream? But I'm contouring with it, and I don't want my contour to show up intensely, so that works really well for that. And then it does the same thing with powder blushes. I don't normally use these for cream, so I like having this on hand for powder blushes because just like with the contour, it disperses just the right amount of product. It's very hard to mess up blush with these. So I think that these are really, really great. Love to keep on those. And I have this larger one from Angie Hot and Flashy's collaboration with them, the A507. I don't love this shape of brush, like this big shape of brush. I know what you could use it for a number of things, but I haven't figured out a way to use these in a way that I like. Now that I have tried their smaller contour brush, I think that's the size I would use for contour brush. The hollows of my face aren't this big. I know that some people like this for like, it's like a little more dispersed and maybe a little less concentrated, but I don't find value in that. I would sooner get the smaller one. So I'm going to pass on that one. I have their small or their mini foundation brush, the 109 brush. So these are also like the concealers, like that kitten paw shape. Wonderful. I use one for cream highlight, just like the other ones. I use one for cream highlight and I use the other one. They're the same brush. And then I use the other one for cream blush. They work so great for that. They just are perfect for the cheek for me because I have a little bit of a bigger face. So this works really well to keep things concentrated. I find sometimes with cream products when I'm using a brush, I get them all over the place and I feel like these do a really good job blending them, but also keeping them where I want them in the first place. It's like really easy to use these. So I'm going to keep both of those. And then I have the full-size foundation brush, the 101s. I really love these. I also will talk about other foundation brushes. I don't think you can go wrong choosing these. They are bigger than the Sonia G ones, which are a similar shape, which I do kind of like about them. Not a lot of people think that this brush is really big. I don't think it's as big as people make it out to be. These are definitely bigger. And I think they're fabulous. I like the synthetic bristles on them. Again, I think that works really well for liquids and creams, which are the foundations I tend to use the most. I don't know, I couldn't tell you the last time I used a powder foundation. I have used one, but it's been months, I think, since I tried one. I love these. These are gorgeous. And in my opinion, you can't have too many foundation brushes because I would use one and one over and over again, but then I would have to wash it more. And while I'm okay washing my brushes more, I don't want to wash my brushes that much, so I'm going to keep both of them. And then this is the only one that I actually purchased out of what you saw. I bought this for a video a while ago. If you were here, you were here. I came around to this brush, I really like it for cream bronzer. And that's really the only thing I really keep it for. And I think why I like it for cream bronzer, because I can be a little bit heavy-handed. This doesn't pick up a ton of product. And what it does is it doesn't pick up a ton of product on a very large surface. So it makes it look really dispersed as you are applying it, as opposed to applying the bronzer and then it looks really dense in one area. Like this makes it so it's really hard to do that. And it works on almost all of the formulas that I have tried. It also worked on the Phytosurgeon's formula, which I know it can be tough for some people to get. If you use a lot of cream blushes and you don't want to use a sponge or your fingers anymore, I think that this would be my recommendation for you if you were looking for a brush. So that's my thought on BK Beauty. Face brushes, I'm really into them. The eyeshadow brushes, I really don't care for. I wouldn't spend my money on them. Since they're kind of talking about brands, let me show you all of my Sonia G brushes. I bought all of these. None of these were sent to me. Oh, well, this one was sent to me by a friend, but not from the brand. Okay, after a quick scan, I think I have all of them. And now that I'm looking at all of them, I was like, when did I accumulate all of these? This is the Lotus Cheek brush. It's super gorgeous. It is great for blush. I will be keeping it. Also, it is absolutely the prettiest brush I own. I mean, these brushes are also just kind of in general the prettiest brushes I own. Highly recommend the Sonia G brushes just in general. I haven't tried any of their eye brushes yet. That's like on my list of to-dos. I do believe that the handles mean something, but I'm not really sure what they mean. I'm fairly certain that this color means that they are a part of the Fusion series, which means there's synthetic and natural fibers in the bristles. And then these ones are certainly all natural hair in them. Okay, but we'll just start with these. This is the Jumbo Bronzer from Sonia G. I was unsure about the size of this when I first bought it, and it has been perfect for powder brushes. Just picks up the right amount, blends it beautifully. It's incredible. I did not like the Rephr version of this brush very much at all. In fact, I didn't really care for Rephr brushes in general. I did a video on that. Again, if you're interested in that, you can go check out the full video if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on Rephr. But spoiler alert, I'm keeping all of my Sonia G brushes. This is the Smooth Buffer brush. One of you recently asked about this brush because I use this to apply the Sisley powder to my nose, and then I also use this brush if I am using the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder. I find that this is like the best kind of brush for a finishing powder. So it's just like a flat brush. It's not super dense, so it can't be, don't confuse it with something like a kabuki brush. It just doesn't have that kind of density. I have found that most finishing powders for me are most successful when they are pressed into the skin. And I just find that this works really well for this. This was actually something that Michelle Wong recommends, and I'm here to second that methodology. I don't always agree with the way Michelle uses product, but I do agree with this. I found it gave me a lot of success. There's a bigger version of it. I think it's called, I don't know what it's called, but there is a bigger version. It's just the same brush, but it's bigger, which I thought about buying, but I think I like this size better. It's a gorgeous brush. Very pleased to have it. And then this is the Soft Cheek brush. If you are really heavy-handed and you find yourself not being able to do light applications of highlighter or blush, this is a very good brush for that. I love it. Or a brush similar to it. It's very, like, it's not very densely packed. I like to use this for highlighter. And why I like to use it for powder highlighter is because I think a lot of people, if you end up with like a big streak of highlighter on your cheek, it's probably because the end of your brush is too focused. And what I find that this does is it doesn't pick up a lot of product. As you can see, I really like to have control over the product. So anything that allows me to have build as opposed to putting a lot of pigment on, I'm going to prefer that. Even if I am going to do like a heavy look with something, I want to build that look. I don't want it to start at 100. And so I find that the glow that this gives me with a highlighter just is perfect. Like it just picks up the right amount. I've been using it with the new Hindash highlighters, and I've used it with the new Gucci highlighters. It's so perfect for that. In fact, now that I'm talking about it, I might pick up another one because I've been wearing more powder highlighter. So that could be in my future. Maybe whenever Beautylish does their gift card event. And then we have the Fusion brushes. Oh, this is not a Fusion brush. This is the Designer Pro brush, and this is what I like to use to powder my under eye. I find that the shape and size is really good for that. It's pretty similar to the one from Bella Beauté Bar, except the Bella Beauté Bar one's completely round. I think it is worth keeping both because this one's dirty. Because it is, I am using it to put powder onto wet product. I find that it gets a little bit gross. For some reason, this one does, but my face ones don't get this yucky as fast. But I'm very into this. I think I thought about buying another one, but I think the having the Bella Beauté Bar one kind of scratches that itch. But it's really great if you were looking for something like that. I think this also would, I only really use it for the under eye powder. I think this would work really well with blushes and highlighter as well. And if you were interested in the Fusion brushes, the original Fusion brushes, I did a detailed video about them if you want to know more about them. My thoughts really haven't changed other than what I might use them for. So this is the sheer buffer brush. This is the one that my friend Nicole, who's also known as Majestic Beast Beauty on Instagram, she sent me this one because she didn't find a reason for it. And this was sold as like a cream bronzer brush, and it works well for that. But what I actually like to use it for is creams and liquids that I think are too highly pigmented, and it works really well for that. I'm thinking of the Bella Beauté Bar liquid blush, which is a really beautiful product, but it's very easy to go overboard. This really helps me with that. It is kind of a specific brush, unless you're using a lot of liquids or unless you struggle with the intensity of pigment in that kind of thing. This might not be necessary for you, but having it, I like it. I have two of these because I love them so much. It's more foundation brushes. This is the Jumbo Base Brush. Again, it's very similar to the BK Beauty ones. Gorgeous. I feel like they get dirty faster if you use the foundation brush more than once in a row without cleaning it, like I do, because I'm gross and disgusting. But if you are like that, I find that those ones they require more maintenance than the BK ones, which is fine. It just, I would know that going in if you're super low maintenance about your brushes. The classic base brush, since I've gotten the BK brushes, the 101 and the 109, like the small foundation brushes, the two brushes I have for this kind of took over what these brushes were doing for me. I do pick them up occasionally. I still use the mini base for cream blushes. Honestly, I like to use these if I really find myself getting in trouble when it comes to like a bronzer or a blush. I find that having these on hand to like fix whatever other brush or whatever thing I messed up, these are normally come in handy. But I will say, like, I do use these less than I once did now that I have the BK brushes. I just prefer them for those kinds of things. And then I have the two concealer brushes, the soft concealer and the jumbo concealer brush. I don't actually know the last time I used the soft concealer brush. Like, it might still be clean from the last time I washed brushes. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I've basically moved over to the Angie Hot and Flashy ones, kind of fully. These are like in consideration of decluttering for actually, like, and then the jumbo concealer, I didn't like it under my eyes. A lot of people recommended that I try it that way. I used to use it for contour before I got the BK Beauty ones. I might offer these to Tiff because I would be happy for them to have them and have them in the same house. But like these I use actually like the rarest out of all of my Sonia G brushes. It's also funny because I feel like I so quickly switch from preferring cream products to powder products. And like, I just think right now, well, for the cheek actually, well, no, I don't know. I feel like I moved to cream highlighters and then I got a bunch of powder highlighters recently that really knocked it out of the park that I really like. I don't know. The pendulum continues to swing, I guess. I have a couple of other face brushes. This one's from the old Sephora collection. I think I can actually get rid of this one because I think the Sonia G ones kind of took this over. They don't make this brush anymore. It's the 60 brush, and what it has like this kind of like chair shape, and it's not super densely packed. It was really my go-to when I did like a lot of blush draping. Before I was like technically very good at doing that. And now I don't think I would need a tool like this that hugs the cheek like it. It also is really good at not picking up a ton of product as well, but I don't reach for it anymore. This is the Sephora 99 brush. I think they still make this shape. In fact, well, maybe, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. It is good for creams, like cream cheek products. I've obviously used it because it is dirty, which means I didn't use it that long ago. This is when I use up as a backup if I feel like my BK ones are a little too dirty or I don't want to use my Sonia G ones. I think this one's like up for consideration of keeping. I'm going to set it to the side. This is the Rephr 20 fan brush. The fan brush I had before this was from Morphe, and I just wanted to not have a Morphe brush in my collection anymore, so I got rid of the Morphe one and I held on to this one. It works fine. I'm just not the biggest fan of like Rephr brushes, and so it works. It's better than the Morphe one. And then this is from Beauty School. This is from Makeup Designery, which is called Mud Makeup. It's called the 710. I feel like they rehaul their brushes quite a lot. I'm not really sure why that is, but I like this for skin tints. So I use this with the Glossier skin tint. I use it often with the one from Lisa Eldridge. And there's something about this being able to move like this that something more stiff doesn't really work as well for the skin tints if I'm using a brush. I feel like it gives me a pretty light application of them too, so I really love that brush for that sort of thing. So I'm going to be keeping that. Okay, here's like all of my other brushes. These are all eyeshadow brushes. Product spatula, that always comes in handy. I'm going to put that with the silicone brushes. I do have some Rephr brushes because the one thing I did applaud Rephr for is that I feel like they had some very useful shapes that I did not see in other brushes. Specifically, I like the 23 and the 3. So they're just pencil brushes, but they're very small. Every other pencil brush I've had before these ones were very like large and thick. And these are very precise and I really like that about them. So gonna continue loving those. And then I have the 12. The 12 is really good for Phytosurgence eyeshadows. I know a lot of you love Phytosurgence eyeshadows, and I'm sure a lot of you just use your fingers. But if you wanted something else that isn't your finger, I find that this works really well for Phytosurgence eyeshadows. Works for lid lusters, any kind of like cream shadow, even matte cream shadows it works really well for. I tend to save this for like the sparklier ones. It's really great for that. And then I have like their flat liner brush, which is great. I just didn't have something like that before. And then the 34 is just like maybe the thinnest liner brush I've ever seen. And I really like that. I found another Bella Beauté bar one. It's the liner brush from them. I will be decluttering that. So here's another thing from Mud. This is just like a small fan brush. And what they actually taught us to do with this in beauty school, it was for applying mascara instead of using a spoolie just to like get it to look darker. And I like to use this when I put mascara on my lower lashes. I will just swipe this across the mascara wand and then I will just draw it on my lower lashes because I mostly, if I want my lower lashes to be visible, I just want them to be visible, not really longer or more voluminous, which is like what most mascaras do. I just want them to be a little more visible, and I find that that's a really good trick for that. In case you have one of those and you haven't figured out what to do with them, that's what I've decided to do. And then I have some like third tier brushes, which I mostly use them to blend out sparkles. So I will show you all of those. So basically with these brushes, anytime I use a sparkle and I need to blend them out, I will reach for one of these brushes. The only one I really want to call out, this was something that a friend gifted me. It was from a BH Cosmetics set, and I think it was just supposed to be like a blending brush, but it's so loosely packed. It's so great to use for toppers because you just want a little bit of a topper and you want to sweep that on. Gorgeous. It's like so perfect for that. I really love that. The thing is, I think maybe you've noticed this. If I have a brush, I will eventually get to use it. I think it's important for me to always like keep in mind that like I don't want 4 things of brushes on my vanity. I want it to keep it to 2 mugs. I mean, to forgive myself, I was testing things and I was keeping the brands separate for the most part. Obviously, once I start using them, they kind of just go wherever they go. Now that I feel like I'm done testing them, I'm ready to go back down to like 2 mugs on my vanity unless I start testing some new brushes. I have my original Wayne Goss brushes here. Love these. I do want to try the other ones. I don't know if any of you have tried Sonia G eyeshadow brushes and the new Wayne Goss eyeshadow brushes. Let me know which ones I should invest in because I think I could always use more better good blending brushes like this. That's fine. I feel like okay having a lot of things that I like use like that. It's more like a matter of my face brushes, I think, were really what took up a ton of space, which now that I'm looking at it, that's still going to be a lot of brushes. Okay, and then I'm going to keep this. It's like a brow brush, but I use it for winged liner. I like to use this kind of brush to apply things with the Mehron mixing medium, so that comes in handy. No, I don't need that one. This busted fan brush I cut up. Sometimes not very often I'll do artsy stuff with it. So we'll keep it because I don't want to give that to someone. This is the brush that I use to put on like cream colored powder shadows to set my eyeshadow base. So I will hold on to that one. This one is the one that came with the Sigma palette that they gifted me earlier this year. I don't need that. And then I have this one, and I don't know that I need it. So I'm just gonna pass on that one. So far, here's what I'm getting rid of, which I feel good about, but I still have a ton of brushes. So let me bring back some of the ones I'm keeping. Okay, now that I have these in front of me, I don't feel as overwhelmed. I set the powder ones aside because I want to continue talking about them. But yeah, I wanted them to fit in this, and they do. It's not really that snug, but there is a lot in there, but that's okay. Let me grab another mug that hasn't even been in rotation for a while that has a powder brush I like in it. So this mug has some brushes I'm ready to part ways with it already in it. However, I have some brushes from Surat that they were kind enough to send me, and I do love their powder brush quite a bit. It's super expensive. It's so stupid expensive, but it is like the softest, easiest to use powder brush. I am gonna keep that, and I think I'm just gonna get rid of the T Bella Beauté bar ones. I mean, like, I don't know. It's so expensive. It's luxe. I like that kind of thing. I think I'm okay keeping the other one. And then I still feel like I don't know these three very well at all. I don't want to have another mug. And this is starting to get very full. I'm just going to throw them in with my eyeshadow brushes and we'll go from there. Now down to these two mugs, which is great because I used to have all of these mugs on my vanity, and I'm so happy to have some retail space back on my vanity. My vanity is always a stinking mess. So it is going to be nice to have more space back. Oh, I keep that. That's okay. It's a little shot glass. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. Again, I apologize for my voice. Excuse me. It's unfortunately going to be in a lot of videos coming up, just because I am going away and I need to have videos edited and uploaded before I leave. So I gotta do what I gotta do. And unfortunately, that means I'm just gonna have to charge through a little bit here. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I do a lot of declutter content, but I don't do that by design, or I don't think you need to be decluttering all of your things. Part of this gig is I get some stuff in PR, or I buy things explicitly to review, and then I have to manage that, and I don't like to have a lot of things. I'm not a minimalist, but I just try to keep my collection in check. I try to help myself and help you be more discerning about the makeup that you're buying. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. I have channel memberships and Patreon if you're into that sort of thing. Thank you to all my current channel members and patrons. You're the absolute best. It's not a better way to support me. It's just a different way to support me, and I appreciate everyone who does. I have a link in the pinned comment down below to help a family in Gaza. If you have the means to do that, please do that. Other than that, that's it. Remember to follow your hote, and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.